Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Straight Up to Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we are back. Finally, I am back from my first term at college, and I am back for the next 5.5 to 6 weeks or so. And during that time frame, as many of you know, I will be posting YouTube videos once again, and the bulk of that is going to be this series, my NBA 2K15 MyLeague series, where I'll be using the Indiana Pacers, as you could probably have told by the thumbnail and the title, and probably some other clues too. But anyway, I'll talk about why I chose the Pacers in a little bit. I just want to blow through the first like 2.5-3 minutes of this video, because I do want to. I have a couple questions and just stuff I want to explain that I'm doing here. But anyway, this is the new MyLeague game mode that is new in NBA 2K15, and it is pretty cool. I haven't explored it too much. I did a simulation with one that actually live streamed. I didn't talk on the live stream, but I was in the chat. And I was interacting with some people, so I tested it out a little bit. I'm not too accustomed to everything, but anyway, here's a question I had for you guys. I'd heard around that there like weren't draft classes, but I wasn't really sure, like custom draft classes that people were posting online. And then I looked at the screen, and I couldn't find any. So I'm not totally opposed to using the auto-generated classes, because I think they've put a much bigger emphasis on the rookie classes this year, and especially with stuff like the big board. And I'll show you that in a moment, but. Let me know if I was just being stupid and I just couldn't figure it out. And if there are, let me know if you guys do want to see the auto-generated, because even if there are the real rookies, like classes with the real rookies, I'm sort of interested in using the auto-generated rookies, because I do find that they're a little bit more realistic this year than not only previous 2K versions of the rookie classes, but also a lot of the custom ones have the rookies as all like 80 overalls, and it's really easy for them to pan out and stuff, and there's not a lot of challenge in that. So I think the 2K classes actually could be interesting to use, but anyway, I also showed you a screen about a minute ago of the injuries that the Pacers have suffered. So I did leave on the real injuries, and the big reason I wanted to use the Pacers is because of the Paul George injury. He's going to be out for the year, and I guess I'll get into it now. So that's what I kind of like about this team. This team was a fringe title contender for a couple of years. They really, it really came apart at the end of last season when they had that awful second half. I think they were like 41-15 or something like that, and then they really struggled towards the end of the season, and then obviously ended up losing. They got to the conference finals, but they lost in 6 games, and that series was really no contest. I think one of the games they won, LeBron was in foul trouble the whole time, and the other game, the one they hit like 65% of the shots, so both games were a little wanky, but anyway, and this is the rotation I'm going to be using while some of the guys are out. Watson, Hill, and West will all be back within a couple weeks, but George obviously being the big one. So with this team, they lost Lance Stevenson in the offseason. He signed with Charlotte, despite what looks like, I think he reportedly got like a 5-year, $45 million offer from the Pacers. Or no, it must have been a 4-year deal, because George got the 5-year extension. I think it was like 4 and 54, but he took the 3 and 27 from Charlotte. There were a lot of opinions on why he did that, but I'm not going to get into them now. This is not the time or the place, but yeah, anyway, and this is, let me go off into tangent for a sec. This is the training stuff. This is the other question I had. I'm not really sure about all this stuff. It looks like they sort of just, if you leave it on like the default, it will do it for you, and it'll try to pick out like the best training methods for your players, but I'm not too worried about it right now, because a lot of the players we have on this team aren't really players I plan on building around, at least not healthy ones. I think the only guy I really know I want to build around is Paul George, but and that's the thing that I like about this roster. So it's not going to be a simple rebuilds like a team like the Orlando Magic or the Philadelphia 76ers, the Utah Jazz, or a lot of these crappy lottery teams. They do have some good young players, and they have a bit of direction. They have some building blocks and some pieces, and they're maybe maybe just a couple years away, or maybe a big trade or two away from contention almost, or at least being playoff bound, whatever you want to say about it. But with a team like the Pacers, I find that it's not so simple. We don't have all these, we don't have all this young talent. We don't have really any building blocks except for Paul George. Now he is the wild card because he's coming off that fractured leg. Now I assume, because it's a video game, and I'm going to be frank here, he's probably going to return to form. He's probably going to be pretty darn good. So we have that. But after that, this roster is a big bucket of garbage, quite frankly. Roy Hibbert's an expiring contract. His deal is up. I think he might have a player option or a club option or something. I don't know what it is. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of option at the end of his contract, but yeah, there's definitely an option at the end of his contract. And I think it's a player option. So we are likely stuck with him for 2 more years, but he is. I still have faith in Roy Hibbert. I think he can still be a pretty good player. I really liked watching him play, and I liked his game when he was at the top of his game, sort of the first half of last year, and especially in the conference finals against the Heat a couple years ago when they went to 7 games. But anyway, we'll see about that. I've also had him in previous 2K series where he's been abysmal. He in previous 2Ks has been I'll say it, a piss poor rebounder, and his defensive impact is not as big as you would like it to be. So we'll see how he plays in this game. He's a guy that I don't know if I'm going to move or not. But other than that, Stevenson's gone. He was replaced sort of by Rodney Stuckey, but at this point, they're not going to be good this year. So, and it was only a 1-year contract, so you can't really say that Stuckey replaced Stevenson, because I don't really think anyone replaced Stevenson at this point. But they have like Donald Sloan, Chris Copeland, Luis Scola, Solomon Hill. Like I said, it's a big bucket of crap. So could be a lot of moving parts. And what I really want to start doing is building the team around Paul George and sort of getting it set up for maybe another run in year 2 or year 3. I'm not expecting it to be a long rebuild, but I just think that because we don't have a lot of those young players like teams like the Magic and the Sixers and the Jazz have, makes it more fun for me personally because I get to build more of the roster. We have Paul George, but we really don't have anyone else. We're going to be in the market for a point guard, which I think personally is going to be a fun thing to do because there are so many good point guards in the NBA. We have so many different ways we can go. Goran Dragic was a guy rumored to that the Pacers were interested in over the summer. He's an expiring guy on the Suns who just signed their 3rd point guard, so he could likely be a free agent candidate for us in the summer of 2015. If we do dump Roy Hibbert, there's a lot of good centers in this upcoming free agent market. I believe LaMarcus Aldridge signed his extension, but I shouldn't limit it just to centers because actually it's a lot of good big men. But Marc Gasol, Kevin Love could opt out and he could become an unrestricted free agent, among others. So there's a lot of good big men. And then, we might still need another wing and possibly another power forward. I think David West is a really interesting trade chip. If you guys know me, you know I'm a big Grantland fan. I read a lot of their stuff, and I am a big Bill Simmons fan, and he is throwing out David West in a bunch of Charlotte trades, like for Vonleh and or Cody Zeller, and maybe I don't know what else, but maybe Gerald Henderson or something to make the salaries work out. Now Charlotte's gotten off to a rough start in real life this year, but who knows how they'll play in this association or this MyLeague or whatever you want to call it. So David West is a trade chip. So we might have to dump the George Hill contract. Like I think you could really blow up this roster and have fun with it and sort of make it my own. So that's kind of why I wanted to use the Indiana Pacers. Like I said, it's going to be a 1-year tank fest. I think I don't think there's going to be a lot of room for this team to compete. If we are like 500 by the All-Star break, I might look to make a move. This team doesn't have a ton of assets though. I think they own their 1st-round picks in the next couple of years, but I don't think they have any extra assets like any extra 1st-round picks or even any extra 2nd-round picks. So I think that is really what this first year is going to be about, sort of rebuilding the Pacers asset collection, trying to flip guys and just try to obtain assets and then use those assets to build around Paul George for the coming years. So that's why I wanted to use the Pacers. Like I said, there's a lot of room for interpretation with what to do with this roster. Other teams I considered were the Nuggets, because that's another team with not a clear direction. They have a bunch of okay players. I think they have I don't know, like 7 or 8 guys with salaries between like $4 million and $11 million, which is makes them really interesting for really any type of trade, from Kevin Love to I don't know, the worst player in the NBA, Byron Mullins or something. But anyway, I also consider the Atlanta Hawks because that's a team that you could blow up and trade Al Horford and maybe even trade Paul Millsap too, or you could build around those guys with Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver and all that. And I like Mike Budenholzer, and I sort of like what the Hawks are doing down there, but I don't know, I thought the Pacers would be a little more interesting. And also there's a little bit of sentimental value to doing a team like the Pacers. Basketball is really big in Indiana, and the Pacers have a very rich history for the last 20 years or so. Going back to Reggie Miller's prime with the Pacers in the early 90s, and then also in the late 90s when they made the conference finals in 98, and then they made the finals in 2000. And then, of course, the Malice at the Palace and blowing up that team with Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson. And then they went through a bit of a rebuild and have sort of gained some steam here in the early 2010s with likes of Paul George and Roy Hibbert and David West, but they might be taking a step back here, especially this year in real life. So we're gonna try and rebuild that though, and try and bring a title back to Indiana. They have never won an NBA title. They did come from the ABA, I believe, and yeah, they have not won an NBA title since coming over. So it'd be cool to bring an NBA title to Indiana. So anyway, that's pretty much gonna do it. I might have a channel update out later tonight. Just updating you guys on sort of my return to YouTube and what to expect over the next 5.5 weeks or so before I go back to school. But excuse me, yeah, I am back and ready to go for the series. I'm pretty excited. I honestly was not I don't know what the right word is, but I wasn't like really pumped to like start this series or anything until I really got home and sat down and recorded this episode, and I was like, oh, I'm really going to enjoy this, I think, because I was a little bit down on 2K when I was playing my player and was just playing online games. But now that I get into the MyLeague and I'm starting to just have all these ideas in my head about how to rebuild this team, like, I'm really, really excited to start recording this series. So anyway, that's pretty much going to do it. I hope you guys did enjoy this episode, and I'll try to have the first gameplay out tomorrow. But it's Thanksgiving, so no guarantees. But I think I'll be able to do it. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy, and I'm glad to be back. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Peace.